What's going on, Bears fans? Jack Lomax, John Presnowski here. This is the free agency edition of the Bear Necessities podcast. What's going on, guys? Ladies and gentlemen, Jack Lomax officially purchased a microphone. Let's give it up for Jack.
Woo! Beautiful. All of the lights.
I mean, he's got a beautiful voice already, but he's got even a better voice now with a microphone.
Oh, stop it.
All right, so obviously the Bears have been a little busy. I think a lot of Bears fans want the Bears to be busier than they have been, but we're gonna talk about that in just a second. All the Bears free agent signings, DeAndre Swift, Kevin Byard, Gerald Everett, Jonathan Owens, aka Simone Biles' husband. We're gonna get to that in just a second, but let's take some time to address the big topic, and it's going to continue to be a topic, it seems like, up until the NFL draft, Jack, and that's the Justin Fields conversation and the trade market that has just completely dwindled before our very eyes. Doesn't really seem like there is a starting position in every 31 other teams right now for Justin Fields to find himself on a team. What's your take on what's been going on the last couple of days? Are you disappointed in where things are at? We're hearing things being floated about on national television by some of these, NFL analysts and experts that are saying that Justin Fields is considered a backup in the league now. I mean, like what are your feelings going on right now in your head as a Bears fan?
Yeah, I feel for Justin here because, and I understand why now he unfollowed the Chicago Bears, right? All this noise that's coming about him, and it's unfair on him. I honestly, I don't see the hate. I think he is a top talent, and I know people are like, well, he isn't. Nobody's really interested in him. He is. He is top talent. I honestly think these are GMs that are trying to get, in my opinion, first round talent at a 5th round pick. That's where I'm at with Justin Fields right now. And it's completely unfair to him because right now as a franchise, we are going to go with Caleb Williams. Let's give Justin the market that he deserves. If he ends up going to a team for a 3rd rounder or a 4th rounder, do it. But just stop pissing around with it. It's winding me up and it's winding Bears fans up. Make your decision now. Be fair to Justin. He's given us 3 years. He's been more than serviceable. We'd be in the playoffs last year if he didn't get injured those 4 games. I can guarantee it. But he did. And this is where we're at. If we'd made the playoffs, would we be having these conversations? I don't know. So it's a frustration for me. But
If Carolina won 1 or 2 more games, we would be having this conversation no matter what. We wouldn't be in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes that we find ourselves in. And of course, next week, as we're talking today on Wednesday, March 13th, the following next Wednesday is USC's Pro Day. And I'm sure Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus and all Bears front office will be full on hand to watch Caleb Williams Pro Day. I think that this is just Ryan Poles just wanting to 100% make sure before handing off the reins to Caleb Williams, before getting to know him a little bit better, to have more time than they did with Caleb than they did at the NFL Combine, before we just get rid of Justin. And I think there's been so much civil unrest here in all Chicagoland because we just want an answer and we want that answer now. And life isn't like that sometimes. And I think we just all need to just take a breather. And, Jack, we talk and we text each other daily
back and forth,
about what's going on. But at the end of the day, we have no choice. In Ryan Poles, we trust. And we have to trust his decision here. And I know a lot of people are upset. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of people are they want an answer on this. And I don't think there is an easy answer right now. And, but what bothers me is hearing that, Justin is a backup and, this is what the NFL world thinks of his talent and thinks, this is what he's worth. You're telling me that Las Vegas Raiders rather start Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connell next year over Justin Fields?
Dude,
I mean,
yes.
You've
got the Giants. You want to start with what's his face?
They're
Daniel
stuck with
Jones.
they're stuck with Daniel Jones. Unfortunately,
What a turd!
I
What
think
an
they're having a little
absolute turd.
buyers. I think they're having a little buyer's remorse about Daniel Jones, but I think they're stuck with him.
Pull
Unfortunately,
it,
in
pull
that
that band-aid
contract.
off. Look at what bloody Russell
I know.
Wilson and Denver.
In
They've got a
Denver's,
worse contract.
yeah, and in Denver's paying Russell Wilson $38 million still this year to play for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Woof.
You're gonna tell me that a team like Denver could get rid of a player like Russell Wilson, Super Bowl winner, right? And the Giants can't pull the band-aid off Daniel Jones. They're a big fraud in the league. Get rid of Daniel Jones. You put in Justin Fields there. But so coming back to what you just said about Caleb Williams' pro day and like waiting, like Ryan Paul saying, I want to wait. What's the benefit there? So like what's going to happen for at that pro day for the Bears to say, we don't want Caleb Williams? Realistically, that's a solid question. It's what's been sat in my mind this entire time. Caleb Williams would have to break a leg in that pro day for us to decide we're not going to go with him, right? Or come out as just an absolute like a racist or something weird, just something like a complete red flag that's not going to make us draft him. I don't see. This is what comes back to the Justin Fields still on the team. Yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me. I think we're gonna end up with Justin Fields on our team still next year. It does not make sense.
Yeah, I think the Bears are just in a really interesting situation right now. This is kind of a holding pattern. I see potentially Justin Fields getting traded on draft night to a team maybe like Las Vegas that's picking 13th. Another team that has been floated out there that I feel like is a really big sleeper team. I told you about this. I've been telling people, don't be surprised if this could happen. A team that is a team that doesn't necessarily know its identity quite yet, a team that is quite in an influx and in motion I don't know what they're going to be because they're not going to be the same team that they've been the last couple of years. And that's the Seattle Seahawks. And Geno Smith is a decent quarterback, but the guy's a bridge quarterback. That's not the quarterback you're going to ride into the future for years on end. Like he is a bridge guy. When I think of a bridge quarterback, Geno Smith is it. I could see Seattle being a team for Justin. Seattle's picking 16th this year in the draft. So Denver, don't sleep on Denver. Although I don't necessarily think Sean Payton is going to go out of his way to mentor Justin Fields. I don't necessarily see that being an option. But I feel that this Justin Fields, Caleb Williams scenario has really hindered the good things that Ryan Poles has done to address this roster. And make no mistake, the Bears still have significant holes on this roster that needs to be addressed. But like, let's give credit to Ryan Poles for signing two-time former All-Pro Kevin Byard, who a lot of people, unfortunately, in Philly, a lot of people think in Tennessee that he might be over the hill. I don't necessarily see it. I think he's an immediate upgrade over what the Bears had the last couple of years in Eddie Jackson. You have pretty much a quarterback back there in the secondary, a really young secondary. You want to think about Jalen Johnson, Kyler Gordon, Tyreek Stevenson, Jaquan Brisker. All those guys are like not even 25 years old yet. In comes Kevin Byard, who will be 31, I believe, when the season starts. The guy has 28 career interceptions, Jack. He's made several Pro Bowls, two-time former All-Pro. I mean, what a great sign by the Bears. And they jumped on it right away. It's basically a 2-year deal. They can get out of it in the third. I was really, really impressed. I think that makes this defense like already better than it already is. What were your thoughts on Byard?
Yeah. No, I agree. I'm just looking at the list itself, and I would go as far to say as I would say he's our steal of the season. All right. Steal of the offseason. Putting my hat on that one. I think, you look at what he did in Philly. Did he live up to the expectations? No. But I think when you look at Philly itself, its defense was massively overrated last year, in my opinion.
They went through a defensive scheme in the middle of the year. They changed defensive coordinators in the middle of the year. And you have a guy that
trash.
started in Tennessee and then found his way on Philadelphia that was going through a weird situation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't blame necessarily Kevin Byard for not really being able to find his feet, to find that perfect landing in Philly.
And now you're going to come to a Chicago Bears team that is looking shit hot right now. Like, that defense looks formidable. Like, I'm going to throw it out there. If we can get a couple more places in on the defensive line, I'm going to make the comparison. I'm going to say 85 Bears. I'm going to throw it out there, right? It's just, but hear me out. Like, I think he comes in and he can put that production up that he did at his first few seasons at Tennessee, because he's going to fit a scheme that is going to play to his strengths. I think he is going to be an upgrade to Eddie Jackson. I think he's going to put up. I'm going to throw it out there. I'm going to think he's going to put up Pro Bowl numbers this year.
Kevin Byard right now is tied for 9th among all active players with 28 career interceptions. He's posted at least 4 picks in 5 of his 8 seasons of the last seasons he's played. He was rated 11th overall among NFL safeties, according to PFF last year. So definitely an upgrade over Eddie Jackson. Definitely Let's move on. The first real big swing, and the only big swing the Bears have taken in free agency. And it was kind of a surprise to everybody. And Jack, me and you were talking Sunday night about the potential that the Bears could find themselves with Saquon Barkley. And they were, according to reports, one of the last teams in on Saquon Barkley. But it appeared that that price tag was just a little too high for Ryan Poles and company. The Bears ended up signing DeAndre Swift to a 3-year deal, $24 million. And what I think is so interesting with DeAndre Swift, to me, like this is straight up a Shane Waldron kind of scheme. Like, when I think of DeAndre Swift, I think of a smaller but shiftier and faster Kenneth Walker, very similar to what Shane Waldron was running out there in Seattle. DeAndre Swift is coming off a 1,000-yard rushing season with Philadelphia, and I know that offensive line that he was running behind there is stacked, but the Bears also run the ball really, really well. I'm very curious what this means for Khalil Herbert. Like, how are they going to split touches? I don't think Khalil Herbert is no slouch. Do you think the Bears could potentially cut him? Interesting. So it'd be who? It'd be Swift, Roschon Johnson, and like maybe a rookie or something. Yeah. I'm very interested to see what the Bears do with that running back room, but it's an immediate upgrade in my opinion. And Swift gets to play his former team in the Detroit Lions twice a year, which I know he's going to be excited about. I really like the signing. I think this makes the Bears better. They're only paying him $8 million a year. Saquon Barkley is making like $14 million a year, which I don't think Poles or any Bears fan would be comfortable paying. Just because he's the name, I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that. And I know the Bears still have a lot more needs to address on that offense. But just tell me your overall thoughts about Swift, Jack.
Yeah, I think, with Kevin, we had the steal of the offseason. I think with Swift, we've got the biggest and best running back pickup of the offseason throughout the entire NFL. Now, it just sounds like I'm immediately, you're the biased Bears fan. Oh, you're such a meatball.
You're such a Bears meatball, Jack.
Oh, I am telling you, I'm high on this. Right? You look at Swift. Yes, he was going on that offensive line with Philly, but you've also got Jalen Hurts that likes to sling a ball and he likes to run himself. That's a scheme that doesn't really fit running backs, and yet he put up 1,000 yards. Next thing with him, like I said, that is a team-friendly, in my opinion, a team-friendly contract. 3 years, $24 million for the age that he is. We've got biscuit knees in Philly now. Saquon Barkley, Mr. Biscuit Knees in there. I think we avoided a contract. I think Saquon has to prove himself as a healthy running back, and he can. He hasn't done it yet. I think we avoided a contract there. I would have liked the Barkley name, but when we put our business hats on, phenomenal signing. I do think we lose Herbert. I don't see him in this scheme right now. I don't think he looked particularly good last season.
He didn't look he didn't look right when he came back from injury. Like
Uh-uh.
he didn't necessarily have the same like
Mm-mm.
pep in his step that I'm used to seeing him have. I'm
No,
wondering if that will, determine whether or not he gets to stay on this roster or not. I mean,
I was actually like, I think about last season and I reflect on it, and I think I wish we'd have kept on running with Dante Foreman.
yeah, when
What was that
Foreman was
issue?
on the field, I thought Foreman ran so well for the Bears,
Yeah.
and it's clear like he was just a rental for us, and he will find himself another spot on someone's team this upcoming year.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like he just missed too many games. It seemed like there was some
Yeah.
personal stuff
True.
off the field that wasn't just injury related. Moving on to the other Bears signings, and I think again this signing alone should give Ryan Poles definitely a B grade, at least B plus grade at least. And we're going to talk a little bit about Ryan Poles's direction with this franchise and this team. And when he initially got hired as Bears general manager, he was quoted by saying he's going to build this team through the draft. And I think because of this Justin Fields saga, we're losing focus of the good that he has done. And one great thing that he just did is sign Jalen Johnson to a 4-year, $76 million extension. They did franchise tag him, and it was going to be roughly $18 million a year on that franchise tag. And this is essentially what they're going to pay Jalen Johnson, and he still gets his guaranteed money. You're talking about one of the best young cornerbacks in all the NFL. When Jalen Johnson's on the field versus when he's not on the field, I mean, like, you can feel the difference in that Bears secondary. I think Bears fans are losing focus on the good things that Ryan Poles has done to better this roster, and one of them is not letting Jalen Johnson leave the building.
Yeah. He made a comment in his press conference, and it sat with me. And Jalen Johnson last year, he came across a bit like egotistical, like, you need to pay me. I'm the guy. And I mean, rightfully so. But what he said in the conference, he's like, Chicago stuck with me through 3 years when I got one interception. And then I've proven myself this year, and they're paying me for it. He's reflecting on his career at Chicago and realizing, like, we gave him his shot. He stepped up, and yeah, he's getting paid. I think about the games that he missed last season and how that defense just completely shifted. Like the performances they put in were lackluster. And when he's on the field, just because of his presence alone, maybe he might not get the interception, but his shutdown of any top receiver opened up any kind of production for the rest of the team. He really is that big of a deal.
He's one of the best shutdown corners in the NFC. Like, and I'm not trying to throw my Bears meatball bias at it. Like, it is what it is, and he's getting paid like it. And like that, the final game, like, really, the Jalen Johnson effect really hit me the hardest when we played Green Bay last week of the season, and he wasn't on the field. We're a different defense when he is not on the field. He does so much of the little dirty work in coverage, and he makes all the other guys like Kyler Gordon, Stevenson, Brisker, the rest of the secondary, like all those guys, like Terrell Smith came to play. It's because of Jalen Johnson and what he does to shut down the other team's first overall, like their number one go-to receiver. Like, this is what he does. This is what he does. This is why he's getting paid what he's getting paid. And I think Bears fans need to remind themselves that just because we don't know what's going on at the quarterback position doesn't mean that we can't celebrate something really good here, something really positive. And that's not letting Jalen Johnson leave the building and retaining him. And you want to pay your guys. Like, this is what clearing the cap. This is like what clearing the books off the cap does. Like, instead of doing what Ryan Pace did and, acting like a 20-something-year-old with a fresh, crisp $20 bill out of his pocket, overpaying at every sexy free agent you can, or you can retain some of that money, be frugal, be careful with how much salary cap you have, and pay the guys on your team and reward them for their hard work, for their dedication, and for the value and the production that they've done. And Jalen Johnson is one of those guys. Cole Kmet was that guy last year.
Yep.
So good on Ryan Poles for getting that deal done. The other notable signing that the Bears had yesterday. Wasn't the sexiest signing, but we found our tight end number 2. Robert Tunyon's replacement will be Gerald Everett, formerly of the Chargers. Gerald, I think Gerald Everett, honestly, him and Cole Kmet are a sneaky good tight end combo. Gerald Everett signed a 2-year, $12 million deal. Gerald Everett has 28 missed tackles since 2022. That's second best overall among all NFL tight ends. Guy's 6'3", 250. Crazy. I do understand that the Bears still need wide receiver help, because right now on the roster we have what? We have the current wide receiver room that we have right now is DJ Moore, Velus Jones, and Tyler Scott, right? Because Equinemius St. Brown was just a 1-year guy. And speaking of the Chargers,
breaking news for us.
I was going to say breaking news, Jack. You want to say it?
Oh yeah, the Chargers are releasing wide receiver Mike Williams. We'll take him. We're gonna.
I was going to say we'll take him. I would take Curtis Samuel. I'd take Tyler Boyd. I mean, like, there are still a lot of names out there for the Bears to potentially pick up in free agency, because that wide receiver room looks very, very thin since Darnell Mooney signed with the Atlanta Falcons yesterday on a 3-year deal. I know you're going to poo-poo that, but I think Darnell Mooney really wasn't able to, like, truly show just how good and special he was in this league. We talked about it last show. Justin overthrew him. Getsy could not. The Getsy effect. He couldn't get him involved in the game plan. And Darnell Mooney just got paid like he was a legit wide receiver 2 or a wide receiver 1, essentially. So he goes to Atlanta, where Kirk Cousins is going now, and he's going to play with Drake London, Kyle Pitts, and the rest of that Atlanta staff, reuniting with Ryan Pace down there in the dirty ATL. So
no, Merp, don't like any of it. We'll dive into that later on, but I've got to come back to Gerald Everett.
Yeah.
So something when it came into it, right? The big thing that I was thinking about was, like, the sheer athleticism of this guy. This guy is an absolute monster. He is 6'3" and 250 pounds. Do you know who else is 6'3" and 250 pounds? I am, but my body composition is a little bit different. No, it's Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is 6'3" and 247 pounds. This guy is the tight end version of Derrick Henry. When you make that comparison, it's thinking about that absolute monster charging you down. Yeah. And you've got the guy actually in the outfield that can catch the pissing ball. That's a frightening addition. That is an absolutely frightening addition.
And going back to Shane Waldron really quick, like, this just reminds me of Shane Waldron, and this is totally a Shane Waldron type of signing. Shane Waldron loved to run 11 personnel last year in Seattle, where you get the 2 tight ends, you get multiple receivers and a running back set. No offense to Robert Tonyan, but I expected more from him, and we didn't get that. I expect Gerald Everett to be an immediate upgrade to that tight end room. It takes a lot of pressure out of Cole Kmet, and Everett's got some sneaky speed. And really, to me, Gerald Everett plays like another receiver. Like, you're going to line him up out of the tight end spot, but he can run receiver routes. I mean, he is just that athletic. So it was one of those signings that, again, has been going under the radar, but I think it's just going to make this Bears offense better. Clearly, the Bears need to address more on that offense. We need more receivers. I think they're not done at offensive line. Could we see the offensive line upgraded through the draft? Certainly seems so. But Jack, tell me about the latest Bears signing and just like some of the popularity that comes with him. The former Green Bay defensive back Jonathan Owens, Simone Biles' husband. What's your take on that?
I actually thought you were just going to give me a breaking news then. I was like, what's going on? Yeah, Jonathan Owens. So, welcome to Chicago, Simone Biles' husband. That's kind of my input on this. His production was good last year. He got, 74 defensive tackles last year. That's awesome. But, I don't like his demeanor. I think he's going to be a serviceable depth to our current starters, but this guy, this undrafted guy from, I'm just looking it up, Missouri Western State. I couldn't even tell you where that is. He comes out and says, he's married to one of the greatest gymnasts in this side of the United States, but doesn't know who she is. And he's the catch. Get the fuck out of here, right? Granted, he's on the Chicago Bears now. I'm going to embrace him, but I don't like that little... I don't like it. It irks me. It sits wrong with me. Just say, I am like punching above my weight here. Yes,
I'm always
Simone Biles. I'm stoked.
I'm always suspect when we take on like a former Green Bay Packer. First it was Luke Getsy, then it was Tunyon, and now we got this guy. I mean, like I'm scared they're secretly spies from within, just trying to formulate a game plan to ruin us from within,
You can't say it for everyone though. We had Mercedes Lewis. Now, granted, he was from other teams. Who came from the Jets and the Jags, but Mercedes Lewis was a freak.
He's a big guy and great locker room presence, guy. Mercedes Lewis. Yeah. But again, I know a lot of people right now that are Bears fans, part of Bears Nation, are like, we have the salary cap. Why isn't Poles spending? Well, again, going back to what I referenced earlier in the show, when Ryan Poles was hired, he was quoted by saying, we're going to build through the draft. And, a lot of the sexier names out there like Daniil Hunter, like a Calvin Ridley, like a Christian Wilkins, if you guys read the Chicago Tribune, Brad Biggs kind of forecasted and foreshadowed that this was going to be a real scenario, that the Bears might not be as aggressive in free agency as people are expecting. And, people need to also realize that we could be saving a lot of money on the cap right now to potentially give Tevin Jenkins a contract extension. This is his last year of his rookie deal. He's arguably the Bears' best offensive lineman, in my opinion, when he's on the field, when he is healthy. The guy's an absolute mauler. I think that the sky is the limit for him. He is just scratching the surface in terms of his true potential. So that's something to keep in mind. And I think it's good. I think it's okay that the Bears aren't overpaying for anyone and just everyone. I think we all need to just take a breather with the quarterback situation and let's just see how this plays out. And trust me, I am refreshing Twitter and trying to see updates as they come through.
I'm the same.
Just as I know, I can hear your phone vibrating, over there. So I get it. I'm just on edge with all you guys, but in Ryan Poles we trust. And I think that Poles really needs, and I know this is going to rub people the wrong way, and I get it, but I think Poles needs a little bit more time to make sure if Caleb Williams is his guy, that we're not just going to ship Justin off just to ship Justin off for like a 5th or a 6th round pick. I think Justin's worth more than that. And in no situation, in no scenario, and I think you'll agree with me, Jack, that we're going to have both guys on the roster, Caleb Williams and Fields, when training camp rolls around in July, late August. There's no way it's unfair to Caleb Williams. It's also unfair to Justin Fields. And Justin Fields is beloved in that locker room. And here comes Caleb Williams. I just don't see a scenario where that would happen. And Bears Nation is just so loud, and we are just so hungry for a winner right now.
Oh yes.
I just don't see that being a healthy scenario, a healthy situation for all parties involved. I really don't. I think that Justin will likely get dealt on draft day or in the weeks ahead. But I honestly just feel like my hunch is the Bears, Ryan Poles, they need more time with Caleb Williams to get to know him better as a person before they make the biggest move in franchise history. They just need more time, and we have to allow them that time. And we have to be patient with them about this. That's just me. And I'm trying to look at it a glass,
positive spin.
Yeah.
Half full. Yeah.
Yes.
Something that you said that resounded with you in a text the other day was, like you said, during the season, there are going to be injuries. There is the NFL. I think more quarterbacks this year got injured than any other season. I think there was something about how many starting I think you could look it up. How many starting quarterbacks played in the NFL this season was just outlandish. I think you're right. the more I think about it, I think Justin Fields is going to be on our roster, but I don't think he's going to stay on our roster by the end of the season. I think there's going to be ample opportunity for a team that's going to come in and lose their starter and be like, shit, we need a starter ASAP. Oh, they're starting Caleb Williams. Justin Fields is more than serviceable, and we get that second rounder that we know he is worth.
Mm-hmm.
I can't see us trading for a fifth rounder for him. He is not fifth round talent. That is utter bullshit.
No,
he is a second rounder. We all know it. He just needs the right landing spot, and it can't be with Luke Getsy, the fraud.
And for all we know, maybe Ryan Poles really hasn't been floating his name in trade talks. Maybe he hasn't been as available as we all perceived he was.
Doesn't need to. Yeah. I mean, that comes down to Adam Schefter as well. Adam Schefter's bloody reports. That guy needs to just put the brakes on for a second because I'm getting whiplash with him.
Yeah.
Right? He keeps on saying, oh, we're not shopping him, and then we are shopping him. We're like, pick a side.
It is very telling that around this time last year, it was already past this time last year, the Bears traded that number 1 pick. That's not the case this year. The Bears still have that number 1 pick. Again, where things are trending, it certainly seems like Caleb Williams right now, if you put a gun to my head, like this is going to be what they're going to do. Now, what makes things interesting is what they're going to do with that number 9 position, with that number 9 pick. God. Jack, we've been talking about this at length. The Bears pick at 1, they pick at 9, and then their next pick, they don't pick until the 75th selection. What do the Bears got to do to close that gap?
I mean, logically, we look at this logically, business standpoint, right? We trade the 9. We trade it down to a team that's desperate for whoever is at 9, that top tier talent. But on the other foot, because like you said in our conversation, right, the holes that we have are too significant where at 1 and 9 and then waiting for the third round, we aren't filling these holes. We do need to trade one of them picks, and it's not going to be the Caleb Williams one. So now we have to look at what are we going to do with that 9? And I think it is trade it back. I think we trade it back if we can get a second rounder in that trade as well. Like, it depends on how big of a trade it is. So, you've got a team that's in that 20 to 30 round pick, trading all the way up to 9, we can ask for that second rounder. If you're asking for someone who's at like 11 or 12 to move it up to 9, I don't think you get that second rounder. But with that second round pick, I feel comfortable. If we are sticking at 1 and 9, we have got gaping holes, and then we look back at this free agency and we say, did we fill the holes and did we do a good enough job in free agency? I couldn't be Ryan Poles right now. I'd have lost my shit. I'd be sat in a hole, just like shaking back and forth, like, I can't do this, I quit. In Poles we trust. We will say this until the cows.
We have no choice.
Home. Do you say that? No choice.
We have no choice
until the cows come. No, you have to. Yeah.
What does make me a little nervous, and I'm right there with everybody that is a diehard Bears fan, like Jack and I are. There are glaring holes on this roster right now. The Bears need 2 wide receivers. Minimum 2 wide receivers right now. Bears need a center. I don't know if Ryan Bates is going to be that starting center. Nate Davis scares the shit out of me. I'm still not 100% fully confident on his ability, even though we gave him a 3-year deal, which it has not been one of my favorite contracts that Ryan Poles has given a free agent. Bears need an edge rusher to pair with Sweat. I can see a scenario where, if we stay at 9, they go edge. Although Jack and I are both in agreement, we would love the Bears to get one of the top 3 receivers on the board if one of them is available at 9, if the Bears aren't trading out of that pick.
Big time.
Like, the Bears still have holes, people, and they need a quarterback. Because right now I think Justin Fields and Bajan are on the roster. That's it. They need a quarterback. There are holes that need to be filled. And just because the Bears have money does not mean that they need to fill all those empty holes in free agency. That's what dumb, silly GMs do. This is the first time in a long time I think the Bears have a pretty competent general manager that I think he knows what he's doing. And we just have to let him do his job and play the course and be patient and not overpay on every big name that's out there. Yeah. Just because you win free agency, just because, look what the Eagles are doing, the dream team over there, the dream team. Remember when they signed Vince Young and like Nnamdi Asomugha and they signed so many guys that 1 year in free agency, and everyone coined them the dream team. Like just because you win free agency doesn't mean anything. So everyone needs to just take a breath and look at the good things that Ryan Poles has done to address this roster. And I'm sure
I can't do it.
I know. And
this is a panic.
And I think, and I know it's really tough to stay patient and to try and be out. Yeah. I think so many of us just want the Bears to just be a winner. And I feel like none of us really care how it happens or how we get there. We just want to see something to make us happy. And we're not quite there yet. Like we're on the edge of our seat, just waiting for that big news to happen. And I do think big news is coming. When that's going to come down the pipeline, I'm really not sure. But I know, literally refresh all day, every night. So
I'm addicted. I can't do it.
I know. So just to wrap up the show a little bit, some big names obviously are on the move. Kirk Cousins going to Atlanta. $180 million contract. Insane. You're talking about a guy that's coming off an Achilles tear, 36 years old. You could have had Lamar Jackson for $200 million last year. Now the guy's a two-time MVP, but you're getting Kirk Cousins down there. Does Kirk Cousins elevate the Atlanta Falcons to being an NFC contender, not an NFC South contender? Because I know that division really isn't the best in football, but you're saying no.
No. He's Kirk Cousins, and I like calling everyone a fraud, but Kirk Cousins is the biggest fraud of all time. All right? All time.
I think he's one of the greatest of all time in terms of total salary that he's accumulated throughout his career. He's one of the greatest of all time. He's made $330 million in salary, I believe, throughout his career. It's insane.
How many playoff appearisses?
Just one.
Bonus points.
Just one.
$330 million in I think it's guaranteed money as well. When it comes to, and he's one playoff appearance.
He's quite the con man. Let me tell you.
And he had Jefferson as his wide receiver, and now he's going to go to Atlanta with Drake London, Darnell Mooney, Kyle Pitts.
Kyle Pitts is actually going to be able to develop and be a tight end now.
Yeah, he'll
actually get actual receptions. So good for him. Russell Wilson obviously going to Pittsburgh. I think that's really interesting, and maybe it's a good thing for Kenny Pickett to sit on the bench a year and see what real quarterback play looks like. I'm interested to see if because I do think Russell Wilson in a good scenario with a good coaching staff and good people around him, I still do think he has a little bit of tread left on those tires. But I think it's a good thing for Pittsburgh. But Mike Tomlin really doesn't have many losing seasons. So will this be the first losing season for Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh? That remains to be seen. Derrick Henry to Baltimore. Could you have picked a better landing spot for Derrick Henry? I really was trying to think another place I could see Derrick Henry playing other than the Titans. Maybe Dallas behind their offensive line, but Baltimore makes so much sense.
It was Baltimore through and through. Yeah,
it was Baltimore, only Baltimore.
Brother.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, it was Baltimore.
Literally. Christian Wilson got paid by the Las Vegas Raiders. Him and Max Crosby together. Whew, dangerous, those two together.
Yep. And that was, for me, he was although I would have loved him on my team, I told you that last time, that contract gives me Danny Trevathan vibes. We'd have been stuck on that one for a while. Don't like it. Yeah. Too much.
Yeah. Brian Burns, although the Giants let Saquon Barkley, go to Philadelphia, Saquon Barkley, oh my God, we're going to get to the running backs in just a second here. What a contract that was. But Brian Burns, what the hell is Carolina doing? They could have gotten 2 first-round picks from the Rams last year, the year before. Instead, they're trading Brian Burns to the Giants for a second and a fifth. Morons. So
worst
people,
organized franchise. So people, in history.
So literally, I know it's so tough being a Bears fan, but like, just go to bed and ask yourself, it could be worse. You could be a fan of the Carolina Panthers. What the hell are they doing? Like, literally, what are they doing?
Combs,
what are they doing?
And Luke Combs is a huge fan, and he hates him. He's like,
I saw his tweet the other day.
Yeah, he's like McCaffrey.
Usually I don't do this, but what the hell is going on in Carolina? No, actually, I'm not a country guy. I actually like Luke Combs, and he doesn't sound like that.
Yeah, look at
that. Also, let's just talk about this really quick before we wrap up the show. Holy running backs. Are running backs actually like not a dying breed like we actually thought they were? So like last year, Austin Eckler and some of the guys were like having Zoom meetings talking about like, do people still care about us? Is the running back position dead? And now we have, almost a dozen guys on the move. Josh Jacobs signs with the Packers, DeAndre Swift to the Bears, Tony Pollard to the Titans, Gus Edwards to the Chargers, Eckler to the Commanders, Aaron Jones to the Vikings, Joe Mixon traded for a bag of popcorn and a 7th-round pick to the Houston Texans. I mean, like literally insane. Devin Singletary to the Giants. Like so much running back movement. Are running backs dead, Jack? Like, are running backs dead or no?
The running backs, in my opinion, in American football, are the most underappreciated spot in the entire, every position going. They are underpaid. We know this. An offense doesn't work if you don't have a good running game. But we're like, oh, yeah, running back's a dime a dozen. It doesn't work that way. You take off a good running back from one team and replace him with your backup, the shit. Yeah. Absolutely trash.
Right.
And just looking at this, I look at this thing. This way I think we won the Swift trade. Sorry, the Swift pickup with the running back market. Josh Jacobs, in my opinion, massively oversigned on the Packers, and they got rid of Aaron Jones. That's absolute travesty. I hope Aaron Jones absolutely dicks on him from the Vikings. I truly hope so. I hope he can stay healthy for an entire season, and he goes into Lambeau and he absolutely stomps him. Tony Pollard is going to the Titans. We've got the worst offensive line in the league. A good move forward for the Titans. It's probably more dynamic than Derrick Henry, but if your O-line can't block, it ain't worth shit. Gus Edwards to the Chargers, that's a downgrade from Eckler. Austin Eckler to the Commanders, that's an upgrade for whatever shit show they have at the worst franchise in the NFL, the Commanders. Aaron Jones to the Vikings, I love it. I hope he thrives at the Vikings. And Joe Mixon, I think that was by far the biggest shock this entire offseason for me. Joe Mixon getting traded.
Well, it seemed like they were going to release him, and then all of a sudden they pulled it back. It's like, no, we'll actually trade him for a 7th-round pick. And if I'm Joe Mixon, I'm like, bro, like, are you kidding me? After all I've done I've done and sacrificed my body on the line for this franchise, and I'm worth a 7th-round pick, like, woof.
Wild. Outrageous.
Of all those names, Jack, who's going to find the most success on their new team in 2024?
Realistically, probably, I don't know. Okay, Meatball Head, Swift. Realistically, Joe Mixon. I think Joe Mixon's he's going to, again, say like, 7th-round pick. I'll show you first-round talent. Worst? Eckler.
I know. I'm with you. I'm with you on Eckler. I just don't see it. Well, first of all, I just don't see going to the most successful. I think Joe Mixon is like the easy favorite. I don't see Tony Pollard being Tony Pollard in Tennessee. I think they overpaid for him, and they're also a team that's just kind of in a weird transition right now. New head coach, fairly new GM. I know they beefed up the offensive line. They got the center from Denver, Lloyd Cushenberry. They signed him to a mega deal. I know I believe they signed another offensive lineman as well to a big contract. But I just don't necessarily think that Tennessee is, going to elevate Tony Pollard. I think Joe Mixon's a safe bet, and I think Swift. I mean, one thing we do well here in Chicago, doesn't matter how bad people think our offensive line is, we run the ball. we'd run the ball. Doesn't matter who the offensive coordinator is either. I mean, statistically, historically, the Bears have always had good running backs, and this is the Bears running back for the next couple of years, DeAndre Swift. And if he's healthy, I mean, this guy has top end speed. He hits the hole hard. He is really hard to bring down when in open space. I could definitely see DeAndre Swift being one of those guys. And then going to the guys with the least success, Tony Pollard, but Eckler. I just don't see Eckler being Austin Eckler on Washington. I don't know about you. I know Washington's trying to turn over a new leaf. I know they're trying to turn over a new leaf, but like go to go back to Cliff Kingsbury in Arizona. Like, who was their running back, and like what kind of production did they have? Like Kyler Murray was the running back. Like, was it Chase Edmonds at the time? Like I'm really trying to think. Was it Chase Edmonds? Like I'm really trying to think about that. I think it was Chase Edmonds splitting carries with another back that they had, but just kind of weird.
Nobody.
Some other notable NFL names on the move. Danielle Hunter signed a 2-year, $49 million deal with the Texans. Crazy. Jonathan Greenard goes to Minnesota to replace him on a 4-year deal. Gabe Davis to the Jaguars on a 3-year deal. Falcons, Darnell Mooney, Geno Stone to the Bengals. Sam Darnold seems like right now is going to be the Minnesota Vikings' new quarterback. Woof. I hope we eat him alive when we play Minnesota every year. Leonard Williams back to Seattle on a 3-year deal. Jameis Winston going to be the backup probably to Deshaun Watson.
Such a random move.
Eating crab legs over there in Cleveland. So to wrap up the show, Jack, let's just talk about some big winners and losers of free agency before we sign off here. My first big winner again is this running back market for what we thought the running back market was last year. I think this also speaks to like this clearly isn't a good draft class with running backs, but to see this kind of movement in the first couple of days of free agency, wild.
Love to watch it. It has been an entertaining first few days just because of the running back market alone. I truly believe that. If we didn't have that running back market in this free agency, it would have been way more lackluster. Yep, I completely agree with that.
Another winner in my eye, and I know we didn't really talk about him a lot, Saquon Barkley, but really Philadelphia Eagles alone are winners. I mean, I'm getting a little bit of that dream team vibe. The Eagles signed him. They signed Bryce Huff from the Jets, that edge rusher. They just got C.J. Gardner-Johnson back. Probably the best shit talker in the league. They just got him back from the Lions. The guy's literally meant for Philly. I'm right.
Did you see what he said about Philly fans?
Oh, I know. He actually came out and apologized for it. I hate him.
You have to.
When Bears fans go back to the Javon Wims incident, you know who started that incident? C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Yeah. That's the guy cancer, when he was back on the Saints. So Philadelphia, I mean, they might win free agency here, but just because, again, you win free agency doesn't mean that carries over into the regular season. But right now on paper, they look scary.
Well, as long as your coach is Nick Sirianni, then it doesn't matter. You can be the dream team all you want. That guy's trash.
And then another winner in my eye is that Raiders defensive line. They kind of swept in and out of nowhere and took Christian Wilkins and pairing Wilkins with Max Crosby, and if the former number 7 overall pick from last year's draft, Tyree Wilson, the edge rusher out of Texas Tech, if he ever finds his game for the Raiders, I mean, that is a scary defensive line.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Completely agree. Absolutely terrifying. Only problem is they've got an absolutely shoddy offense right now. You really think about it. They lost Josh Jacobs. They're like, what's his name? Zahir White? I don't even know what his name is. That's our running back of the future. All right, enjoy him.
Right.
Have fun with him. Our quarterback is going to be Aiden O'Connell or Gardner Minshew. Enjoy him. You've got Devontae Adams. That is the one name you've got on the offense. It doesn't matter how good your defense is. Devontae Adams can't catch a ball when you've got a 3-year-old throwing the ball to him.
Really quick, because it's on the top of my head. Who do you think is more pissed off right now? Devontae Adams that Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connell is going to be throwing him balls next year, or Justin Jefferson with Sam Darnold throwing you balls next year? Like which bona fide wide receiver is probably a little bit more aggravated at this current moment right now?
I don't think you can compare it. I think they're both just as pissed off. And if I'm either one of them, I want in a trade. I don't want Luke Getsy as my offensive coordinator, and I don't want Aiden O'Connell throwing me the ball. And if I'm Justin Jefferson, I definitely don't want Sam Darnold throwing me the ball. He's absolute hot trash.
Right.
Granted, now you've got Aaron Jones as a good running back. If I'm Justin Jefferson, I'm asking for a trade. The one trade that popped up that I saw on social media, just a rando put it up there. But it was like Justin Jefferson going to the Bengals and for T. Higgins and a first rounder.
Potentially, could be.
Good idea.
Staying with the Vikings really quick, segueing into our loser section. A lot of people might not necessarily agree with this take, but I thought all NFC North teams got better over the last couple of days. But if you're the Minnesota Vikings, you let Kirk Cousins walk.
So
I think the Vikings are better with Kirk Cousins than without Kirk Cousins. You sign Sam Darnold to a 1-year deal. Again, if you're Justin Jefferson, you're like, what the hell is going on here? You let Daniil Hunter walk and you sign Jonathan Greenard, and you get Aaron Jones. That's great. But the Vikings, Jack, I've always been this fringe playoff team to begin with.
Correct.
And I don't see them elevate past that with the moves that they've made. So in my opinion, they're losers here.
Biggest loser. Yep. I've got a lot of Vikings fans, and not a single one of them have said they're excited for this season. They're like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
I will say they are actually quite happy that Kirk Cousins is going. I think they expected him to be more than a one playoff kind of person. But that being said, you replace him with Sam Darnold. You've replaced a guy that's got one playoff win to
a bag of popcorn.
Sam Darnold. Yeah. Bag of popcorn. Yeah. No. Couldn't say it better myself. Yeah.
Nope. Another loser, and as Bears fans as me and you are, I can't help but feel so bad for Carolina Panther fans. Oh my God.
Terrible.
Your former GM again could have had 2 first-round picks for Brian Burns last season. It was reported the Rams would have sent that in a package, but instead Brian Burns, who is a freak, that dude is a dog. I mean, that guy would elevate any roster. Selfishly, I would have loved if Poles was super aggressive to bring him to Chicago, but you can't pay Burns all that money and Sweat all that guaranteed money. It just doesn't make sense. But if you're the Carolina Panthers, you barely got anything from the McCaffrey trade. The Bears got DJ Moore, Tyreek Stevenson with that 2nd-round pick, and realistically, Caleb Williams this season if the Bears do decide to go that route. And the Panthers got what in return? Bryce Young? More bags of popcorn? I know you're hard on Washington, but really, when you think about it, Carolina has them beat. They are the worst franchise in the league right now. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they're doing right now.
It's which one's the shinier turd is my favorite analogy right now. Which one? They are both if you are a fan of either franchise, you can't be excited for this year. You can't be excited for the next year. The only reason you can be excited is if Washington throw the absolute kitchen sink for Caleb Williams. I'm talking, honestly, 3-4 first rounders, 3-4 second rounders. That's the only way the Bears are getting rid of that Caleb Williams pick. And that's the only way you're going to get excited for next season.
Honorable mention before we give our last loser of NFL free agency. And again, he's Jack Lomax. I'm John Presnowski. This has been the Bear Necessities podcast. I think an honorable mention really is Aaron Jones and Joe Mixon, because to me, both teams, the Packers and the Bengals, did both those guys dirty. They released them after the whole first wave of running backs in free agency all got their money. And after what Aaron Jones and Joe Mixon have done for their respective franchises over the last 5-6 plus seasons, those guys got secondhand free agent money. They could have gotten top dollar like the rest of the guys got. And the Packers and the Bengals were like, no, we'll wait this out and release them late. I think just overall it's unfortunate, but for both of those guys, they could have made a lot more money 100%. Had those teams released them just a little bit earlier in the free agency process. But I hate to say this, but the biggest loser in free agency has been the Justin Fields trade market. It's the biggest elephant in the room. I think we all were expecting the Bears to deal Justin the last couple of days for a second rounder at minimum, and it's been crickets. And we've been watching all the quarterback needy teams slowly fill their roster with guys. Not Denver. Other than a few small places throughout the league, I really don't know where Justin Fields fits in as a starter in this league, and it's a shame. It's a shame.
Yeah, I saw another tweet, and it was from a no name, but it was. What sat with me was Justin Fields. This is going to polarize a lot of people. I would say Justin Fields is better than half. I'm going to say it. Half of the current starting quarterbacks in the NFL right now.
Yeah.
And he is getting absolutely nothing.
Nope.
And it is outrageous that all these GMs are trying to pilfer it, because they will. They'll try and get him for a fifth rounder, and it makes me sick. And Ryan Pauls is like, I am not giving away Justin Fields for a fifth rounder, you absolute pleb. No way is that going to happen. We're going to hold on to him. When you need him, I'll ask for that second rounder like he's worth. Until then, he is going to stay on our team. But, you look at like Atlanta. He should have gone to Atlanta. He could still go to Minnesota. Honestly, I'd hate to say it. I don't think he will, but he could. I don't think he goes to Vegas, although he's definitely an improvement on Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell. My dark horse, I'm still going to say it. I'm going to sit on this. I said this a couple of podcasts ago. The Saints, they've got Derek Carr. I think he's hot trash. They got rid of Jameis Winston as the backup. Derek Carr's not got the he ain't got the minerals. He can't stay on the field for a full season.
Yeah.
That's my dark horse.
My dark horse is Seattle. I could really see Justin being a potential fill-in for Geno Smith if Geno Smith starts to struggle, or they need a little breath of fresh air. I can certainly see Justin in Seattle, but in terms of the trade market itself and what Bears fans thought was a sure thing, Justin is still a Chicago Bear. And we still don't know if they're going to run it back with him or if Caleb Williams is going to be the guy. We still don't have that confidence yet, and I think that is what has sent all Chicagoland into such a tizzy these last couple of days. And until we know more, this civil war amongst if your Team Caleb or Team Justin is going to commence, whatever this thing that we've been doing on social media these last couple months, it's going to continue. Unfortunately, I don't think there's an end in sight quite near. So, but until April 25th, the Bears still have a lot of work to do to address some of these holes. So hopefully we have some better news, and hopefully we have some more free agent additions the next time we'll see you guys. I know, but again, Jack, thanks so much for joining me again, man. I'm so happy you got your microphone. You sound lovely.
I've tried really hard to speak into this microphone, baby.
He's Jack Lomax. I'm John Presnowski. This was the Bear Necessities podcast. We'll catch you guys next time.